Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Three-story building collapses in Lagos. Many trapped, others feared dead. Lagos government and the presidency grieve over building collapse. Authorities to re-examine state of buildings in Itafaji area of Lagos. Federal government bans Boeing 737 MAX 8 from flying in Nigeria's airspace. And tragedy for Brazil as 10 killed in British school shooting in the city of Sao Paulo. ChannelsTV.com has more information for you, and on youtube.com/channelsweb you can watch our videos. You can also watch us on your mobile device via your browser or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. Besides giving you access to news updates on the go, the Channels TV and Channels 24 app has an eyewitness feature that you can use to share pictures, videos, or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, tap and swipe to reveal the menu, and then follow the instructions. Now, we're staying with our lead story on the building that collapsed in Itafaji area of Lagos Island. And earlier on, we spoke to the GM of Lasema, that's Adesina Tiamiu, and let's just listen in to what he has to say.
I'm still here with the GM of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Mr. Tiamiu, who will be speaking to us. Mr. Tiamiu, can you tell us now the status of the rescue mission?
Well, now what we are doing is we're drawing a gradual going down the rubbles. We've rescued people who are alive. We also have hope that there are other trapped victims, going by the information given to us by the residents. What we will do now is the excavators will have to walk here, but it will have to walk very slowly because we don't want to trample on victims who are probably still trapped under this. Now we have stopped work for people to, take some rest, and for, these other agencies who are coming to help us, for us to put our thoughts together to see the best way to handle this, because a lot of these agencies of government and even private organizations, including embassies, they are all here wanting to offer support, and we welcome everybody. So we will be going into the next stage now, which is going through the rubbles to see how to get down the ground zero to see whether people are still trapped like people informed us. That's what we are doing now. Agencies of government are many here. What we will do is we will have to link up with the triage we set up at the Lagos Island General Hospital, where we have taken people. Sometimes you take people injured, they die or they survive. We will have to reconcile all of this before we begin to give out figures. But I am aware that almost 50 people have been brought out of this building alive. Even before the emergency workers arrived, the community people here, the young men of this community, they've done wonderfully well. They've rescued so many people before we came in, and then as soon as we came in, we joined them. We added our expertise and our equipment, and we've rescued so many people since then. We've been here since 11 o'clock, and we're not sure of when we will end this. Until we get to ground zero, we'll continue to work.
I also was able to speak to one of the residents who lives just very close by to this street. He tells us a bit about the building that collapsed.
The building has already been extracted. They should have been demolished this building for a long time, but I don't know what is keeping the state orders waiting. I don't know why. Look at it now. The students of this, many people are in the building. They are young students. And many of them now, some have already passed away and some are still alive.
I'll also be speaking with a member of the firefighters here in Lagos.
Well, it's quite unfortunate that this is coming at this time, because this is very devastating as far as the state is concerned. It's actually giving concern to the state, but I want to assure that since immediately the call was received by the fire service, we quickly moved into the site via our Ilupeju fire station, and we have Lasema and other emergency responders on ground to commence rescue operations. And as I speak with you now, rescue operation is still ongoing. We've been able to, with a concerted effort of all the emergency responders, coming together to ensure that life is brought to safety. We've been able to rescue so many lives alive, so many of the casualties alive, and it's quite unfortunate we have some recovered from the rubble of the collapsed building. But I want to tell you that yes, operation is still very much ongoing. We've been able to operate to probably the ground floor.
And staying with that story, we have a reaction now, and the president has sent his condolences to the families of victims of the building collapse in Itafaji area of Lagos, and he says he's saddened by the incident. President Muhammadu Buhari sympathized with the parents and relations of them, and he's wishing them God's comfort. The president's message is contained in a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, and he says, quote, "It touches one to lose precious lives in any kind of mishap, particularly those so young and tender. May God grant everyone affected by this sad incident fortitude and succor." End of quote. While President Buhari wishes the injured speedy and complete recovery, he is also asking the Lagos state government to do all that's needful to avoid a recurrence. Now let's turn our attention to Edo State, where 4 persons, including a divisional police officer, have been killed in an attack by gunmen on the Afuze Divisional Police Headquarters in Owan East local government area of the state. Confirming the incident to Channels Television, the Edo State Commissioner of Police, Dan Malam Mohammed, explained that the gunmen invaded the police station on Tuesday evening and opened fire. Our correspondent Jessica Olobosere visited the scene and now reports.
The intriguing force pulling these onlookers' attention is much more than the presence of the armed military and policemen around and within the premises of the Divisional Police Headquarters, Afuze, Owan East local government area of Edo State. It's a scene of great loss, human and property. On the evening of Tuesday, 12 March 2019, armed men invaded the premises, taking lives in the process.
We witnessed a very ugly incident where some unknown gunmen invaded this police station. They killed the DPO and 3 others. And this type of impunity will not be tolerated.
Mr. Andrew Sigwe is the chairman of Owan East local government area. He tries to reassure the residents.
Normalcy is gradually returning. And I urge my people to go about their business, their lawful business, peacefully, believing that justice will be done.
His emotions eventually overpower him.
The DPO, SP Ojo Koshimani, who died, was like a brother.
The Independent National Electoral Commission INEC's office in the area was another point of attack for the gunmen. However, the police say the attackers were repelled. The police vehicle and another car parked within the premises did not escape damage. Even as it's a painful time for the Edo State Police Command, it has assured members of the public that it will take every step required to see that justice is served in this case. Jessica Olubusere, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki has condemned the attacks on Afuze Divisional Police Station and the INEC office, where 4 police officers, including the DPO, were killed. Mr. Obaseki, who was accompanied by some Executive Council members and State Security Chiefs to the scene of the crime in Owan East local government area, gave residents the assurance that the perpetrators will be brought to book.
Well, it's quite worrisome, for this level of criminal tendency. Why somebody would undertake this very gruesome attempt to take the life of a senior police officer, in fact, police officers for that matter, is just totally unacceptable. This is, we've not gotten that lawless. And I'm going to make sure that the culprits are found. Obviously, with the kind of work the police is doing and the intelligence they're gathering, I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of this. Now, clearly, we'll have to quickly rebuild so that they can continue operations. This is one of our best DP offices, as you know. We're going to immediately clean it up and re-roof and rebuild the destroyed portions of this facility. And then also we'll see what sort of assistance we can render to the families of the deceased.
Sad one there. Well, let's cross over to Abuja now. Here's Linda Akigbe. Linda.
Hello, Ijoma.
Hi.
Now, here in Abuja, we sympathize with the people of Lagos over the building collapse. The federal government has banned the Boeing 737 MAX 8 from flying in the Nigerian airspace. The Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, told a news conference after the Federal Executive Council meeting at the State House that the ban is to ensure safety and security of Nigerians following the fatal crash in Ethiopia on Sunday. Our correspondent, Gloria Umezuke, reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari presides over the week's Federal Executive Council meeting, the first after the general elections. After the closed-door meeting, the Minister of Aviation told a news conference that the Boeing 737 MAX 8 and 9 has been banned from flying over the nation's airspace following Sunday's ill-fated crash that killed 157 people on board.
The Civil Aviation Authority, whose mandate it is to issue advisories, has already issued the same advisory that nobody should fly into Nigeria or out of Nigeria using the 737 MAX, pending the determination of the actual cause of the crash in Ethiopia and also pending the outcome of the response of the manufacturer himself, which is Mrs. Boeing. Regardless of the enormous safety records by these machines, 737, it has caused concern for the world of aviation.
This directive is coming amidst reports that some airlines in the country have placed order for the aircraft.
It is to the knowledge of the ministry that they won't be here in this country within the next 2 years or so. And of course, this is period enough to sort out whatever problem is there with that particular airplane. And the world of aviation will not be sleeping, just as we are not.
Meanwhile, the federal government has taken steps to improve living conditions of 1.5 million people in Kano State through the approval of a €64.7 million loan to ensure supply of potable water in Kano.
The project is to improve the living conditions of up to about 1.5 million people in the greater area of Kano by improving access to quality water. And also, we're seeking to improve the financial viability of the water board by increasing its revenue and enhancing its governance framework. The project is to rehabilitate and build the infrastructure needed to increase access to water services to populations in Greater Kano and to help improve key sector reforms to ensure the sustainability of the project. It is from the French Development Agency. And the terms and conditions of the facility is that, one, it is at an interest rate of 1.02% with a repayment period of 20 years and a 7-year moratorium period.
This facility, approved by the Federal Executive Council, is among several other plans, according to the government, to improve the living standards of Nigerians in the next 4 years. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
To the legislative arm of government, the Senate has commenced the debate on the 2019 budget, with some lawmakers asking the federal government to be cautious with its borrowing plans. Some of the senators expressed worry about Nigeria's debt profile, while some others want a return to a one-year budget cycle. The Senate finally gets down to the business of working on the 2019 budget. Unlike the Senate, the House of Representatives passed the 2019 budget through second reading before the commencement of the 2019 general elections.
Mr. President, with your permission,
The Senate Majority Leader opens the debate on the 8.83 trillion naira budget with a capital expenditure of 2.03 trillion and 4.04 trillion naira recurrent expenditure.
The budget deficit is projected to decrease to 1.86 trillion. This reduction is in line with this administration's plans to progressively reduce budget deficit and borrowings.
But some legislators have reservations about some of the budget assumptions, as well as a debt burden to the country.
With all these indices and yardstick, by the end of May, except there is a miracle, dollar will rise to 500 naira to $1. Because we have depleted our foreign reserve, we are a chartered borrowing nation.
Take the case of the oil price. We are taking $60 per barrel, the benchmark. Considering the volatility of this very product and the market, it seems unrealizable that we will be dependent on $60 per barrel.
The Senate Deputy Majority Leader is not worried about the country's debt profile. However, he advocates extra funding for agriculture. Some lawmakers also point out other sectors in the economy in need of urgent intervention.
Considering the population of Nigeria, considering our human resources, we are grossly borrowing, under-borrowing.
Increasingly, we've deviated from the financial year proposed by the Constitution. Over the last 4 years, the average period for which budget has been passed in this Assembly has always been in May, and I believe it's a very dangerous trend. An implication of what's happening now is that the executive consecutively or consistently have brought the budget quite late, usually towards the end of December or shortly before we leave for break in December.
Not much work has been done on the 2019 budget, particularly in the Senate, 3 months into the year, as legislators gave priority to the elections. The previous year's budget was passed late in the year, in the midst of squabbles between the executive and the legislature. And there are concerns that unless the 2019 budget process is given expedited action, it may suffer the same fate of late passage.
Petitions.
When the News at 10 returns, election observers brief in Abuja suggest improvement in Nigeria's electoral process. Please stay with us.